Let's all play a game of how puffy my hair is gonna get by the end of this video.
A few moments later.
So, it is so muggy. But anyway, hello! I am here with a dangerously stacked up pile of books. So recently I have gone into town. Oh my god, she does actually leave the place sometimes. I did some damage, not an overwhelming amount, but I have received quite an overwhelming amount of special editions from either work or from other boxes. And I'm regretting my decision currently massively, because what not to do during a very muggy, too warm, can't breathe day is lift heavy books. I am committed to the bit now, so let's do it. In a very random order, but also just me trying to like get this pile to be less wobbly from the very top of it. We have The Remnant Chronicles, and this is a Fair Loot set. I'm gonna start by showing you the edges. This is a fantasy series. The Kiss of Deception being the first book. We have beautiful foiling on it. Stuff on the back. The series starts off with this character who's a princess. A first daughter is supposed to marry off to a prince and really doesn't want to. She's supposed to have a, what was it? A gift of sight, and she doesn't. So at one point she just runs away and lives a new life, and then unknowingly meets her supposed to be husband and also an assassin. It sounds fun. This has been on my radar for the longest of times now, and I really do actually want to read it because I keep hearing that it's quite fun. And we also have more end papers, so let me just show those as well. Now that I have these editions, I feel like I do not have a good excuse to not. So let me know if you read it and what you thought of it as well. Then there's The Heart of Betrayal. It's a beautiful set. I really like the covers and the entire vibe. It's very classy, which I quite enjoy. The third book actually could also act as a weapon of mass destruction because it's big, it's chunky. And the last end paper right here. So now that we had a significant look into the series, don't fall. These are the spines. Pretty. This is the Fairy Loot edition of One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake, with these beautiful edges on top and bottom as well. This is a story of two rival witch families trying to beat each other and get an upper hand. I believe it is set in magical Manhattan. I do want to read this eventually, but I'm more excited for this book by the author, which is Masters of Death. This is a Waterstones edition. Has really beautiful end papers. I actually really like it. I will be getting the Fairy Loot edition as well, so doesn't have anything on the cover. And I don't normally like to have doubles because I already really very much struggle for space in general. This one was just really beautiful, and I actually really enjoy the end papers. This is following the main character, who is a real estate agent slash vampire, and her biggest problem currently is the mansion she's trying to sell is haunted. So I believe she hires like a team or someone who's a medium and also a fraud, and it just sounds chaotic and beautiful. I'm very excited for this one. This author to me so far is a little bit hit or miss, so I really am excited to see what I think of those. Then my actually current read, I'm currently reading this, but it's the Fairy Loot editions of Oathbringer, and they're in these new like reprinted designs, but they also have the gilded edges, which is so lush. I'm not reading or touching these editions because I don't want to ruin them, which I know is silly, but also it's the gilded edge. I'm just afraid. And luckily I have the other editions, like the regular editions, so that's all good and fine. But it's the third book in the Stormlight archive, and I am thoroughly enjoying it, if anyone wants a very vague and brief update on how that's going. So if you've seen my previous vlog, which I will link down below, I have read my first book by Emily St. John Mandel, Sea of Tranquility, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really beautifully set up. I really like the formatting of it. I like the themes obviously as well. And then I saw this bundle and so, you know, I saw and I got it. These seem to be fairly short stories, and the most known one is Station 11, which somehow just managed to slip through the cracks on my radar, which is criminal considering that it's a sci-fi and it has themes that I like. Although I do think from the synopsis, it sounds like it focused quite a bit on music, which is interesting. Nothing against it, it's just I'm excited to see what it is. I think maybe if I've ever heard about it, I just assumed people were talking about Ocean's 11 because my brain do be working like that. If I hear something that's similar, just assume it's that other thing. So that is totally on me. And then in the bundle, there were also these books, which I'm not actually 100% sure if they are related. They do all sound like they have something to do with music as well. So I'm thinking they might be companion or sequels to Station 11, but someone with better knowledge and less lazy than me, please let me know. I know I can Google. I know I can, but I don't wanna. It doesn't have any markings that it is sequels, in which case I'm actually quite excited. Station 11 is very pandemic coded. It does say on the back that, you know, a famous actor dies on stage during their like peak performance, and at the same time a deadly virus touches down on North America. If you are cautious of these themes, understandably, just to be aware, there is a little bit of that as well. Not like in a lot of detail, but there is like a theme of that as well in Sea of Tranquility, so also just letting you know. Now, next one is almost the reason that I wanted to do this video to begin with. I am just so incredibly happy to have these editions, for them to exist, to have worked and helped with them, and it's, oh, you know I love the series. It just took me, I feel, out of reading slumps. It was unputdownable. It was really, really fun and engaging and scary in places. I personally really liked it. It's the Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Oh, they are extremely shiny, so I don't know how well I'll be able to show it to you. But these are the Fair Loot editions, and I am so excited to finally have them. So let me just. If you don't know, Good Girl's Guide to Murder is a story about Pippa, who kind of digs up a cold case of somebody who was murdered in their town and investigates and gets in trouble, and there's just a lot happening, and we have a romance, and we have murders, and then follow-up murders, and a podcast, and the following books, and all sorts of unhingedness in the third one, which I personally really loved. I do know that there are, you know, different opinions. Some people really didn't like the direction that it took. I personally very much vibed. So I'm so excited to actually have hardback special editions of these. I cannot tell you. And I have already read them as well, so it's not like I'm adding to my TBR. We love that. Then this actually arrived in the Broken Binding subscription. It has beautiful edges. This is the second book, and I think there probably will be more. The way I realized that Broken Binding works, like, it's a beautiful hardback and foil design that kind of wraps around. The way that the subscription works is that they actually send you series, and like every month you get like a series in it, which I think works beautifully and is brilliant if you like the series. However, I've not actually had a chance to read the first one. And I'm just like curious, if I don't like it, then I'm stuck with the whole thing and then it takes months. So I'm not actually sure if I'm gonna keep the subscription or not, because that is a bit too big of a gamble for me to be getting these monthly personally. Because if I don't like it, then it technically wasted all of these other months instead of getting... I understand and I appreciate the concept they were going for. I just don't know if it's for me, which is such a shame. And have they always done that? Because I don't know, which is such a shame because I was in the waiting list for a very long time. But anyway, speaking of subscriptions, from Illumicrate's horror subscription that they've released recently, and it's by the author of Mexican Gothic. I'm quite excited to try this. Beautiful edges, some unhinged art, and the foil hardback. It doesn't seem like a very long book as well, which is quite nice. We're getting floofier. And we're following a sound director, sound editor, who joins up with a director of the cult horror movies, and they're trying to find missing pieces of the footage, I think, and then uncovering some occult stuff. So it sounds cursed and lovely. I'm excited. Good for the spooky season. Then from the August YA Fairloot, so if you're still waiting for it, please skip it. We have the Bone Smith, which is a book about bones. Our main character is trying to go through these trials to impress her fairly absent father. Trials do not go well, and she's being banished to a different place, but she's obviously determined to get back. And there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of like skeleton magic and bone structures and cool weapons was what I remember most of it. I've not read it. I read snippets though. This is the design, and we also have a reverse this jacket if your heart so desires. So let me know if you've had a chance and what you thought as well. A couple of sci-fi books that I picked up. These have a very similar vibe, I feel. I was going for like spooky, ominous sci-fi, I guess. Ominous sci-fi would be the way to go. So the first one is Places in the Darkness. So this sounds like a space murder mystery, but instead of, you know, being in like a house or a manor, this is in a spaceship that is built and hosts people specifically to go and like save Earth. Repopulate, maybe? Hundreds of scientists and engineers work in Earth's orbit building the colony ship that will one day take humanity to the stars. There's a murder there, and then there are investigators who go in there, and then there's more murders, and basically we need to find out what is happening, and there's like a big conspiracy behind that. Very excited, have no idea, not heard a single thing about this, but I just saw it and I thought, let's try it. This one I have seen floating about a little bit more, and it's called The Luminous Dead, described as a tense psychological thriller, which is the vibe we're kind of going for. It's a survival story as well, so I'm assuming like Martian, but like creepier. Instead of funny, scary. It sounds like our main character lies their way into this operation, thinking that they're just gonna collect some like minerals. Instead, they are stuck with someone who is very manipulative and also uses drugs and all sorts of substances on them without their consent. So it's very like controlling and just wrong. And I think she gets lost in some tunnels or whatnot and has a feeling that someone is following her. So I'm very excited. And then I have The Fifth Science. I want to say this is a self-published book by the way that it's printed. So the premise is quite interesting because there's an empire, a human empire, but it's like intergalactic one that is built on 4 sciences: logic, physics, psychology, and sociology, until the 5th one appears, which is like collection of 12 stories, and it's called The Fifth Science, and kind of breaks down the system. I don't know if anyone has read it or have thoughts, let me know, but it sounded intriguing and I like the cover, so we got it. August adult book from Fairloot, and it is Forged by Blood. It has this beautiful edge and solid ones on top and bottom. It is pitched as a tale of rebellion and redemption, love and lies. Forged by Blood is epic fantasy in its finest, richest, steeped in Nigerian mythology. And we have a really stunning end papers with foiling detail as well, and different one on the back, as well as a reverse dust jacket. And then this is so beautiful, design on the hardback. Then from Illumicrate subscription, we have Just That Air. I am so excited to read this book. Cody said that it's like Fourth Wing but better. So I'm actually very excited. So this is about a lost kingdom and a lost heir who doesn't want to be found, but at one point obviously reveals themselves. In a moment of anger, Sylvia reveals her magic and captures Aaron's attention. Now who's Aaron? Nazal heir. Okay, so that's gonna be... So it's a true enemies to lovers, which I feel like it's been a while since I read, so very excited. It's like feuding kingdoms and clashing of the heirs to them, and one is a secret and the other one is not. So that's fun. Actually, I've not read the 3rd one yet, so that's somewhat a lie, but I've read most of them. This is the Drowning Empire set from Fairloot. It has these edges and it has these spines, but look at, can you even see? It's very hard to show. Beautiful, super intricate foil design and extremely stunning end papers is specifically that we have Mephi, and Mephi is just a baby here. However, he grows and then has a friend. Let me show you or try to show the foil on this one. I didn't love the second one as much as I love the first one, which is a shame, but I'm hoping that the third one is gonna make up for that and come back. Maybe it was like, you know, the second, look at him! Maybe it was the second book syndrome, you know, that happens quite a bit. So I'm still gonna read it, I'm still excited, and now I have these beautiful additions to boot. I still really love the first one. I keep saying that I think this is the best, like, animal companion I've seen in a very long time, and I still stand by that. I arrived to the books that I've gotten from my trip to the town. So the first one is The Library of Broken Worlds. I know very little about this other than this is my attempt, that I still need to take the dust jacket protector of it. This is my attempt at giving the trope of books about libraries a chance, because I feel like I love the concept in theory and I just never had a very good experience with it. So this is my try number whatever it is. Then we have The Creeper, which is a horror book about a town that has no history, no one knows anything about it, and people lock their doors at every time it gets dark outside, and no one talks except from one girl who tells a story about a man who is a creep. And then people who are visiting see the figure at night. So it's a little bit like a funny concept, but I'm excited to try it. I don't have like extreme hopes for this one, but I am just looking for like some creepy reads for the creepy season. So then I also got Ascension, which is another sci-fi. It is about a mysterious mountain that like springs up in the middle of nowhere, and then the scientists going up. And the thing that got me, the sentence that got me in the synopsis was, "But the higher the team ascend, the stranger things become. Time and space behave differently on the mountain, turning minutes into hours and hours into days. I mean, the whipping cold and steep dangers of high elevation, the climbers' limbs numb, and memories of their lives before the mountain begin to fade." And there's like creepy stuff happening, so I thought maybe it's gonna fit into the creepy vibes we're collecting here somewhat. And it's also sci-fi. So the next one is also a sci-fi. This is a space opera with a very skilled, trained for the day she can avenge the destruction of planet Earth, raised on Gria station alongside the last scraps of humanity. She is one of the best warriors of her generation. It's a space opera about the wreckage of war, the family you find, and the path you must forge when every choice is stripped from you. And it is a standalone space opera, which I feel like is not extremely common. It is blurbed by Tamsin Muir, who is the author of Gideon the Ninth, which I didn't necessarily love, but I loved the humor in it. So I kind of like trust the blurbs of the author, I feel, in a weird sense. So I'm very excited. A standalone space opera, I just feel like it's just such a rarity, so I'm very excited for that one. Another one that I'm really excited about is a Dark Academia anthology. This is a very lush color. That's just a side note. Dark Academia is just one of those things that I feel like I've built my readathon pretty much around that concept. I love the aesthetic, I love the concept in general, but I have not yet read any really good ones that I would class as what I imagine it being. Even like the If We Were Villains, to me it just didn't really feel like what I was looking for, so I'm on the quest still. I've not read like an enormous amount of Dark Academia, but I've read some, you know, I've not read any. So I'm still on the quest. And then I also am kind of looking for a slight answer of whether do I just like the aesthetic and I don't love the books, which would be interesting. But maybe it's the case with the books set in the library as well. I don't know. This one I picked up because it is by the author whose book I really liked, which is The Last House on the Needless Street or something. Something of the like. Oh, it says The Last House on Needless Street, sorry. And it's called Sundial. I actually didn't read the synopsis of this one because I kind of want to just like go in not knowing anything, but I guess that's not very informative for you. So it just sounds like it's about a bunch of people afraid of each other. And there's a place called Sundial and they're wondering if only one of them will be able to leave it. I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't want to know too much. This one I'm really excited about. I picked this up when we were on the work trip to Bath, and first of all, the cover, absolutely adorable, love it to pieces. And this is a translated book. I believe it's Japanese originally, and this is a collection of short stories about not magical actually, probably just libraries. No, magic of libraries, not magical libraries, my bad. Magic of libraries and human connection. I'm very, very excited for this. It seems very wholesome. It seems like it would be a brilliant like palette cleanser. I'll get back to you on this one. I don't know if it's any good, but it sounds like it would be, you know? It's shortlisted for the Japan Booksellers Award, so that also is quite promising, I feel. Okay, last two. We're getting there. This one is Never a Hero, which is a Fairy Loose edition and a continuation, Only a Monster. So as it is a sequel, I shan't say much about it, but I have heard people say that I should buy it because the first one I believe has some time stuff, and obviously that's very much my kind of jam. So I might give it a go at some point. Let me know if you agree with those people and I'll get on it. And then last but absolutely not least, because this book very swiftly after I read the first one became pretty much my most anticipated release of the year. It is frankly quite criminal. I've not read it yet, but I've had the readathon and I now have some book club books that I need to read, but this is not far behind and I will be reading it soon, and that is The Shadow Cabinet. This is the Fairloot edition, which I never really thought I would love the combination of like purple and orange with like when they're so bright, but actually I'm living for it. And the first book is Her Majesty's Royal Coven, and it is it is just so beautiful. It's set in UK and it's an interesting take on the government, and the government in the book is of witches, and there's like warlocks as well that want to kind of take some power as well, and coven wars, and a coven of women who, if they didn't grow up together, would otherwise, like, they're just so different, they would not have like zero, like close to nothing in common, and how you navigate things like this, and where do you draw the line of like things are just a little bit different between you and your lifestyle and the other, and when it goes too far, and when do you need to intervene, and it's just like, it was full of heart and it was full of jokes as well. I think it's definitely not for everyone. I have seen people dislike it as well, but I loved it, and the ending of it as well, like I can't wait to read this basically, and I think this is a stunning edition. I'm so excited for it in general. But that is everything, and the hair is floof confirmed. And I am going to go and have ice cream, and I'm gonna stop talking because too warm, melting. So thank you for watching. Let me know if any of these caught your attention, or if you already have and read them. I always love to hear your thoughts on books that I haven't yet read but are fairly high on my TBR, so I know how to manage my expectations, one, and then two, whether I should rearrange said order. So please do let me know. Hope you enjoyed this and have a wonderful day. Hey, bye.
Said that you've been hurt one too many times before. Ended up